Israeli forces have ordered the evacuation of the once safe Gazan city of Khan Younis.
Europe is experiencing bad weather conditions, including heavy flooding in parts of Poland.
The Israeli military has carried out sustained attacks across the Gaza Strip in recent hours, local media reports. One woman has died and 3 other people were injured after the IDF bombed the Kizan Abu Rashwan neighborhood south of the city of Khan Younis. The attack signals the Israeli military is likely to mount a deadly new assault on the southern Gazan city. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday that Israel is nearing the elimination of what he described as Hamas's terrorist army. The Israeli leader has repeatedly asserted his government's commitment to destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities. Meanwhile, more Palestinians on Sunday fled what was once designated a safe area in the Gaza Strip as Israel's military continues its operation in the southern city of Rafah.
Kensington and Bayswater is one of the most marginal seats in the United Kingdom, with just 150 votes separating the Conservatives from Labour in the last election. It's also one of the most socially divided seats in the country. In the south, upscale mansions line streets among the most expensive in the world. Walk northwards and you'll find overcrowded housing estates. As the UK prepares to head to the polls, voters living locally say the next government must tackle the cost of living crisis and chronic housing shortage.
I'd do something about the housing shortage. There are more people sleeping rough too at the moment.
We need build more homes. We need better transport. We need to actually build things and grow the economy again.
A lot of people has been deprived of, lots of things. There have never been more people homeless in the street, and I think no one is paying attention to it.
Both Labour's Keir Starmer and Conservative Prime Minister Rishi Sunak are pledging to build around 1.5 million homes in the next mandate, with Labour placing a strong emphasis on social housing. But questions remain around the financial viability of their plans as the economy shows signs of recovery after a short-lived recession last year. Economists say regardless of who will have the keys to 10 Downing Street, tough decisions have to be made to tackle a high deficit and a continuously bleak economic forecast. In Kensington, residents want politicians to come clean on the state of the economy.
Tell the truth and just be honest with the people. We haven't got any money anymore, and we need change.
People living in the richest parts of this constituency of Kensington and Bayswater earn twice as much and are expected to live up to 17 years longer than those people living in the poorest parts. These extremes of wealth and poverty epitomise a broader national problem in the run-up to this election. Across the country, people simply feel they've been left alone to deal with a crippling cost of living crisis. And people in London tell me that they've simply lost faith in politicians' ability to bring their bills down, and that the next government, whichever political colour it may be, has its work cut out to restore that broken trust. Maret Gwyn for Euronews in Kensington.
Bad weather conditions have continued to persist across Europe. On Monday, authorities in Poland got to work as roads and basements were flooded in Zakopane and nearby towns. Firefighters were also called to intervene in many places. The situation left the Zakopianka route connecting the capital of the Tatra Mountains with Kharkov impassable for several hours. In neighboring Austria, another thunderstorm with heavy rain hit the municipality of Waldkirchen near the border with Czech Republic. It comes after the devastating hailstorm of Sunday afternoon. A village in the neighboring municipality was declared a disaster area, while firefighters and rescuers tried to cover the buildings with tarpaulins. Meanwhile, thunderstorms left roofs and crops damaged in Slovenia. Meteorologists say the storms originated in Italy. Scientists attribute the latest extreme weather events to climate change driven by human activity. Finland's Prime Minister Petteri Orpo has called on Parliament not to weaken the deportation bill. If passed into law, the legislation would allow Finnish border authorities to refuse to accept asylum applications in certain circumstances. Finland, which shares 1,340 kilometers border with Russia, accuses the Kremlin of encouraging asylum seekers to cross their shared frontier.
Laki, joka me annettiin, niin sitä voi toki täällä eduskunta muokata, mutta ei vesittää. Eihän siinä ole sitten taas järkeä, että tehdään tällainen poikkeuslaki, joka ei toimi. Et siinä se raja on ja sitä eduskunnan ja sen hallintovaliokunnan pitää arvioida. Minun asenteeni pääministerin näkökulmasta on se, että Suomi tarvitsee tämän lain ja toivon, että eduskunta löytää nyt täällä sellaiset ratkaisut, että se 5/6 enemmistö sille saadaan ja sen jälkeen voidaan olla turvallisemmin mielin.
Finland has 8 official border crossings with Russia. It became the 31st member of NATO in April last year, ending decades of military non-alignment as a result of Russia's war in Ukraine.
It's a French election, but with a major impact on Germany. Analysts told Euronews that Berlin's influence over the EU could decline after the National Rally gained a strong lead in the first round of France's parliamentary elections.
The Franco-German relationship builds a lot on very close contacts between all levels at the ministerial level and beyond. If the Rassemblement National had a majority in parliament, and that would mean that they would hold a lot of these positions, it would fundamentally change Franco-German work together because people do not know one another, and the Rassemblement National has had a very explicitly anti-German stance. So a lot of work would have to go into normalizing relations between France and Germany.
Germany calls France its most important and closest ally in Europe. Chancellor Scholz said about a week ago that he was concerned about the election. He said he'd be happy for any party without Le Pen to be successful, but he said it was up to French people to decide.
German news outlets are focusing on the risky gamble and loss for French President Emmanuel Macron. A leading member of Chancellor Scholz's party told a newspaper that the results mean his country may have to prepare for Le Pen as president. One political economist says Germany will be limited in taking on bigger projects in the EU if the national rally succeeds.
German politicians are really afraid of the Eurosceptic government in France. They are afraid of Jean-Claude Barandella, who has questioned the European Energy Union, for example, and who has also questioned the European rulings on the Growth and Stability Pact, namely on fiscal conservatism.
Cornelia Voll says France's focus may shift away from Germany if the national rally gets a majority.
I think it would definitely mean that the center of cooperation would move away from Franco-German cooperation, possibly to Franco-Italian cooperation, where it's easier to build bridges. I do not think that France and Germany, which have always had a difficult working relationship that they've invested a lot in, would be able to bridge this gap in partisan politics.
Brussels believes that Meta, owner of Facebook and Instagram, is violating European digital markets law with its consent or pay policy. Since last autumn, the US company has been offering users either to give their consent to use their personal data for targeted ads or to pay to have an ad-free version. According to the Commission, Meta is obliged to offer an alternative.
We take the preliminary view that actually Meta has not shown this equivalent alternative to the end user who says no to the personal data combination.
According to Europe's leading consumer organization, Meta is not offering a real choice.
Meta has to change the choice screen that it has imposed on consumers since last autumn. The main thing is that it needs to provide freely given choice to consumers. It needs to offer a freely given consent, and especially it needs to provide an equivalent service to what consumers get today if consumers choose to not consent to the cross combination of their data across platform services.
But when asked by Euronews, a Meta spokesperson believes the company is complying with the legislation. The ad-free subscription follows the direction of Europe's highest court and complies with the DMA. We look forward to continuing a constructive dialogue with the European Commission to bring this investigation to a close. The European Commission has until March to investigate the case. If Meta is found guilty, the company will have to pay a fine of up to 10% of its global turnover.
Portugal have made it to the quarter-finals of Euro 2024 after surviving the first penalty shootout of the tournament. Diogo Costa was the absolute superhero of the night as he saved all of Slovenia's shots. Cristiano Ronaldo missed a key penalty in the extra time, but then scored the opening shootout for Portugal. His side will take on France in the Friday quarter-final. Les Bleus qualified too after beating Belgium 1-0 thanks to an own goal, as Jan Vertonghen deflected into his own net a shot by France's Randal Colomwani. Belgium confirmed their negative trend against the neighbor, as they always lost to France at all major tournaments. At the same time, France's poor scoring record remains a concern. The round of 16 ends on Tuesday with Romania-Netherlands and Austria-Turkey.